All right.
Also 2 USB ports. The top port is used to keep the tablet charged. The bottom port, the standard port, is used for doing software updates. Also, you can tether the tablet to the machine using the bottom port. A couple of things we changed when we went from the original Futura to the Futura Pro is we upgraded the cutter motors. High torque and speed for cutting efficiency. On the edge cut side, it's 1,585 RPMs. The laser dimple side is 12,100 RPMs. And one of the things the higher RPM on the laser side allowed us to do is we can now use carbide cutters, which will extend the life of your cutters. Faster cutting cycles compared to the first generation. Edge cut is 50% faster. On a 2-sided automotive key, normally it will cut it in 1 step. On a flatter residential key, it will cut in a lot of cases on 1 step, depending on the maximum depth of cut. If it has a real deep cut, it may take 2 steps to make those cuts. Laser cuts are 30% faster, dimple cuts are 20% faster. And we've also introduced a tip stop 4 tool, which will make it a little easier to clamp those keys that are clamped to position stop 4. And I'll show you a picture of that later in the presentation.
Alan, if I could interject real quick here. If anyone has any questions, please direct those questions to the Q&A. I'm not sure if we mentioned that, but if you have any questions, please direct those questions to the Q&A that you see at the bottom of the presentation.
Thanks, Ryan. And the tablet is simply an operating mechanism. The software for the machine is on the motherboard of the machine. The tablet communicates with the electronic board via Wi-Fi. It's simply an Android tablet with the Futura app in order to run the software in the machine. The software provides guided step-by-step updating procedures, operating procedures. It will communicate with Create a Key and Instacode software. That interface is included in the price of the machine. Compared to the original Futura, we changed the style a little bit. It's total black. Got a stainless steel accessories pad on the top. I mentioned the 2 USB ports and what they're used for. The bottom port can be used with a USB stick in order to do updates if you decide to do the update that way. A USB pen is included in the toolkit. Any first generation Futura accessories that you might have are compatible with the Futura Pro. We talked about the ergonomic clamp handles, and it also has stainless steel screws to resist wear. There's some more improvements of the Pro.
Hey, Alan.
Yes.
Can I ask you, with the group listening here, when updating, USB is the primary function? Is there other options that are better, or is that the primary function is to use a USB pen for updates?
Now we'll get into the updates a little bit, Tony. Okay. If anybody wants any further detail, you can go to our YouTube channel. There are different videos for just about every function of the machine. There's an in-depth video on how to update. You can basically update through the tablet, or you can update with the USB stick. And we'll get into that in, I believe, in a later slide.
Thanks, Alan.
All right, we showed this on the slide. Basically, the edge cut or cruciform station is on the left. As you can see, it uses your standard circular cutter, just like your manual duplicators do. And the right-hand side is for going laser keys or dimple keys. On the edge cut side, it uses an optical reader. There's actually a laser just below the cutter. The laser goes up and there's a mirror on the top to deflect the ray. There's a copy by original function using the optical reader. If you decode, it will go in and touch off in each area where there is a cut based on the card data behind it. If you use the copy by original function, the optical reader will actually trace the working key. And when you put the blank in, it will cut exactly what was traced, just like you're using a duplicator. Calibration of the cutting station is very simple. The tablet walks you through it step by step. It has a 4-position quick rotating jaw. If you're familiar with the Bravo, you just grab the jaw and twist it. The Bravo 3 with Easy Jaw has the same setup. It's your standard 4-position jaw that we have on all of our machines. Jaw A is for your standard single-sided key. Jaw B would be for a smaller single-sided key, such as padlocks, file cabinets, those sorts of things. And jaw C and D is used to grip the key in the milling groove, which is mainly for 2-sided keys to make sure that you have the key held straight in the jaw. As I said before, it cuts automotive keys in one smooth pass. It has a titanium carbonitride coated high-speed steel milling cutter. The use any clamp function. In the older model, you were pretty much forced to use clamp side A whenever you were decoding a key. We've tried to keep the database updated, so now that you can use any clamp function. As I said, jaw C or D to hold it in the milling groove, which makes it a lot easier. The important thing to remember is when you're decoding an original key, you must use the clamp that is designated by the software. Then once you've decoded the key, you can switch to a different jaw position if you prefer, C or D. This is the tip stop 4 tool I was referring to. In the old machine, without this, it took 3 hands in order to get the key clamped and using tip position 4. This is a plastic insert. You just snap it in place, slide the key all the way into the back till it touches that position. And once you've clamped it down, just remove that tip stop tool. It's made of plastic in case you forget to take it out, and it won't damage your cutter. And then you use the regular tip stop in the slots of the jaw for tip stops 3, 2, and 1, so on and so forth.
That's a good point, Alan, that you're making on that being plastic, because correct me if I'm wrong, out of the what I call dummy-proof warnings that is set up with the Futura machines, tip stop in the clamp is not one that it will pick up on.
Now, it won't sense that it's there, but if you follow the instructions on the screen step by step, it will remove you to remove the tip stop.
Perfect. Thanks, Alan.
On the laser and dimple side, it uses, and instead of the optical laser, it uses electrical contact to decode and copy. Automatic calibration of the Z-axis. What that means is the cutter will come down before every key is cut. The cutter will come down and make electrical contact with the top of the jaw. Based on the key that you're cutting, the machine knows the dimensional information of that key, and based on the touch off on the top of the jaw, it will know how deep to make that Z-axis cut when it's cutting a laser key or a dimple key. There's interchangeable clamps, jaw inserts. And as I said earlier, by going to a higher RPM motor, we're now able to use laser or carbide cutters. The process status indication lights, just to let you know when it's ready to go. It'll be a white light. When you start cutting a key, it turns yellow, cautioning you that the machine is in operation. When the cutting cycle is complete, the light will turn green. And if there is a fault of any kind or the safety shield is open during the cutting process, the light will turn red. It's a touchscreen tablet. It's an Android operating system. It's mounted on a stand on top of the machine. Again, that stand is removable. It's also, you can adjust the incline of the stand to make it easier to see. And it integrates the software functions and data. There's an extensive range of data cards, and we're updating it constantly. Code tables for edge cut, cruciform, laser, and dimple keys, and also Tibi and tubular. The new smart search function for automotive key cards. Basically what you put in is make, model, year. Once you input that information, a card will pop up. If there's more than 2 or 3 different code series, you'll have a list of code series there to choose from. You don't have to go searching by code or any of that as you did in the past. You simply input the first letters, the software will prompt. You can scroll down and select it, or you can just keep typing.
Alan, let me ask you one other question here that might be a question that comes out in the, or a thought process at least. The difference between searching the key here and an automotive sense and using the auto truck guide. Any advantage or disadvantage?
No, most of the information that's in here came from the auto truck guide. But one thing to keep in mind is we work with a lot of the OEM manufacturers, and a lot of them provide the code information, the indirect code information by model year to us, but not all of them do. Not all of them want you to be able to cut their keys, because that takes away from a revenue stream from them. So you may not find every code series for every year, make, and model in the database. But as we gather that information, we add it. So if any of you out there have sources for that, Subaru is a perfect example. We have cards, we know the depth and spacing information, and we know the dimensional information of the key, but we do not have the indirect codes on a lot of Subaru models, because Subaru will share that information. So if you come across that stuff, please send it to us and we'll get it added to the database as quickly as we can.
Thank you, Alan.
Tony was asking earlier about the software updates. There's several different ways to do the software update. You can do it through a tablet, and what you would do is select updates, and if you want to do it through the tablets, you press the tablet icon that you see here on the left and just follow the instructions on the screen. What it will do is it will tell you to connect the tablet to a Wi-Fi signal that has internet connection. The Futura machine creates its own Wi-Fi signal, but that signal is just to communicate between the tablet and the machine. It will not connect you to the internet. So you'll have to connect your tablet to an internet connection that has, or to the Wi-Fi that has an internet connection. It will automatically connect to Silka's server, and it will compare what's currently on the machine to what's the latest update. If there is an update available, it will download it to the tablet. Then you'll have to reconnect the tablet back to the machine, or it should automatically connect. If it doesn't, you may have to go in and reconnect it. Then it will download from the tablet to the machine, and the machine will reboot itself. Once it's rebooted, you'll have the new update. Another way to do it is using the USB stick. You put the USB stick in the bottom port in the back of the machine, tap on the USB stick icon, and just follow the prompts on the screen. Basically, what it's going to tell you to do is it's going to write the information from the machine to the USB stick. Then it's going to tell you to take that USB stick to a computer that's hooked to the internet, plug it into the USB port on the computer, and when you open the file, there's an executable file there. You just click it. Again, it will connect your computer to Silka's server. It will download the update to the USB stick. Once it's complete, you save it, remove it from the PC, carry it back to the machine and plug it back in, and follow the prompts on the screen. It walks you through it step by step. And if you go to our YouTube site, Ilco's YouTube site, there's a video explains it and shows you, I'm actually doing an update in the video, so you'll be able to see it step by step.
Alan, and then in that USB option, USB pen option, do you find that more advantageous or to the advantage of those who may be in an area where internet capability is a little tougher, riskier?
Yeah, it's in the length of time it takes to do the download is dependent on your internet speed. If you have slow internet, it could take 45 minutes to an hour to download the update. If you have good speed, I updated one here in my home office today in about 15 minutes. But again, it all depends on the speed of your internet.
Excellent.
Another software feature in the Pro is it gives you a preview. Once you put in the code or the cuts, it gives you a preview of what the cut key is going to look like. And if you have the working key, obviously you can hold it up and compare to make sure that it looks correct. Just some of this, I tell you what, go back one more slide, Tony. One thing I forgot to mention, when you decode a key, the machine is going to go in and touch off in every space where there is a cut, and it's going to measure the depth of that cut. It will then compare it to what is the OEM spec. Once you've decoded it and you just simply hit cut, it is going to cut that key back to OEM specs. If you want to cut the key exactly as it's read, once you've decoded it, this little area down here that says measurement, there's another thing that will pop up and show you what measurements the machine actually took. You have the option of cutting it exactly as it was measured. But if you don't, it's going to cut it back to OEM spec.
Alan, where is that on the menu? Can you point to
It'll
it?
show on the right-hand side. It's not pictured here, but on the right-hand side, right there where it says measurements, Kevin.
Okay. Oh, I
the
see.
item will come up and say measurements taken, or I can't remember exactly what it says, but you'll see it. It'll be green.
Okay, and taking that worn key and going back to factory spec. Is that both on edge cut and high security?
On high security, it's only going to do back to factory spec, but on an edge cut key, if you simply hit cut, once you've decoded it, it'll cut it back to OEM spec. If you want to cut it as it was measured,
right,
you click on the green, there'll be another box up in here. Just click on it, and there's a little box in there where you put in a check mark, so cut as measured.
Okay, thank you.
And this is just some of the dimensional information, some of the specifications. It doesn't have a real big footprint. It's about 12.5 inches wide, about 16 inches deep, and about 21 inches tall with the tablet. Or if you take the tablet and the stand off, it's only about a little over 13 inches tall. It weighs 44 pounds, so it is easily transportable. The warranty on the machine is 2 years on both the machine and the tablet. Keep in mind, the warranty doesn't cover if you drop the tablet and crack the screen. We've had some folks call us about that. But if the tablet doesn't operate properly, then it is covered under the warranty. The machine comes with the O1F, which is your standard edge cutter. The laser cutter is the O1L. W means carbide. It's Widia, meaning carbide. The O1L cutter is used for probably 85 to 90% of the laser keys that are out there. The dimple cutter is the 01D. I've had some customers that actually tried to cut a laser key using the 01D. I've said if you never cut dimple keys, please throw that in the trash. That will prevent you from making that mistake going forward. The edge cut side jaws are the 01V, which is for the edge cut side. And the laser dimple side is the 01R. It comes with 3 different jaws. The 01J and 02J jaw positions, again, do probably 85% to 90% of the keys, and that's for 4 track keys, either internal or external. The 19J in combination with the 01J is used for doing Ford, Volkswagen, Audi, and Porsche 2-track keys. And there, I think on the next slide, I've got some optional jaws. I'll go into those then. Now go back, Tony. All right, the 04J is an optional jaw for doing laser keys, and that's for Mercedes and BMW. So if you want to do Mercedes and BMW, you will have to purchase the optional jaw. All right, go ahead, Tony. A couple of new jaws we developed. The 06V. If you cut best keys, you know they've got so many different keyways, and it's tough to get the key to lay straight in the jaw using standard A side on the standard jaw that comes with the machine. So we came up with the 06V clamp, and basically it's a 2-sided clamp. On one side, it's for best keys, and it will hold all of the different keyways. And the flip side of that jaw is your standard A jaw. So if you're doing primarily single-sided residential commercial keys and best keys, you can pop on this 06V, calibrate it to the machine, and that's the jaw you'd use going forward. Or you can swap back and forth between the 01V and the 06V. We've also come out with the 07V clamp, which on one side it clamps best keys, and on the other side it clamps our peaks keys. And if you notice the ridges in the face of those jaws, the reason the ridges are there and the reason there's one side for best and one side for peaks is the difference in spacing. We had to put those ridges in there to allow the cutter get into the deepest cut. Jaw position E on the 07V is for a 150 spacing for best and peaks. Jaw position F is for the peak system with the 140 spacing. And again, you just install this in place of the L1V, calibrate it to the machine, and you're ready to go. The Futura Pro also has an engraving kit, an optional engraving kit. If you have the original Futura, you can purchase those 2 jaws that I mentioned on the previous slide, and also this engraving kit will work on that machine as well. It engraves metal keys, small tags, and plates. The engraving equipment that I'll get into later mainly use what we call diamond drag. It actually etches the brass keys and padlocks and those sorts of things. But this engraving actually cuts the material, so the engraving is going to last a lot longer. So as you can see, it comes with the engraving cutter, and it actually cuts in there. There's only one font, and in the model, as you type in whatever you want typed on the key, it just shrinks it down to make sure that it fits within the area you've designated. It comes with over 220 default user templates or models, and it gives you guided step-by-step instructions on how to insert text, those sorts of things. Or you can also use the model editor to customize an existing plate or to create a new template. And once you've created it, you just save it to the machine, and that way it'll be there the next time you want to use that same template. And the software will automatically load you through it or walk you through it once you've done that. All right, I'm going to turn it over to or no, I'll go ahead and do the Futura Pro One. We had customers say, hey, I like the Pro, but really don't want to spend the dollars because I already have a machine that will do edge cut keys by code. So I don't really need the 2 cutting stations. I just need something to do laser keys or dimple keys. And there's a typo on this slide. Go back, Tony. There's a typo on this slide. This is for laser and dimple. It will not do edge cut or cruciform keys. Have you noticed it has just the 1 cutting station? That's why we call it the Futura Pro One. That cutting station is for laser and dimple. However, you can do tubular and tibby keys with the optional accessories. Again, it's 1 cutting station. The picture on the left is the Pro. It's not the Pro One, but the little inserts there show you what the cutting station looks like. It's the same as on the Pro. It's the exact same machine. It just does not have that edge cut station on the left. Again, the accessories are pretty much the same. This gives you a better shot of the cutter storage. You get the same cutter storage here as you do on the Pro. The accessory tray, the molded grips on the side, the safety shield, the tablet stand, everything is exactly as the Pro, except you don't have that edge cut station. Main features are decode and copy by electrical contact. It has that same high RPM cutter motor, so we can use the carbide cutters. Tablet operation is exactly the same. Automatic calibration of the Z-axis, guided step-by-step procedures, the USB pen for updates, the same USB ports. It's basically the same machine without that edge cut station. This shows you how the jaws are swapped out. As I told you, the O1J, O2J is primarily what you'll use. But if you have to swap jaws out, they just snap in and snap out. Just slide it in until you hear it snap in place. And when you want to remove it, put your finger behind it, push it out. Has the same lighting cycle as the Pro. White when it's ready, yellow when it's cutting, green when it's complete, and red if there's a default or the safety shield is open. Same smart search for automotive keys, just like I explained in the Pro. Software updates are exactly the same as in the Futura Pro. So again, if you need further information on that, go to our YouTube channel and you can actually see a video of it taking place. Same key cut preview for laser keys, just like the Pro has. So once you put in the code, it's going to show you what the cut key is going to look like. And the specs. Specs are pretty much the same, except it's a couple pounds lighter because it doesn't have that edge cut station. Warranty, just like on the Pro, is 2 years machine and tablet. Cutters, obviously, it's the O1L and the O1D. And the same 3 jaws that I mentioned earlier. The 2 different tracers and the USB pin. The 2 tracers I didn't talk about on the Pro. You've got the O1T, which is basically what we refer to as the mobile tracer. That is what's used to decode the key. And the O2T goes in place of the cutter. That is what's used to calibrate the machine. And of course, it comes with a USB pin. The engraving kit that I mentioned earlier will work on the Pro One.
All right, I'll give Alan a break.
Edge.
Yep, I'll give Alan a break here. Thank you, Alan, for those the first 2 of the 4. I'll jump in here on the Futura Edge footprint. Like I said, it's the Futura family. The footprint that you see here with this machine, 1 cutting station, attacking edge cut keys, circuit form, the keys that you'll see here in this style. Also best and peaks available with the right, obviously with the accessory jaw. Same footprint, as I said before, as we've seen in the first two machines. This one's a little bit lighter, obviously. This is probably the lightest one, I believe, of the family, Ellen, if I stand to be corrected, at about 35 pounds.
Yeah, notice the color is a little different. The Pro versions, the Futura Pro and the Futura Pro One, are all black. This is kind of a light gray interior.
Black gray. Yep. Yeah. So same type of accessories here that you see built in on this. And then when we get into the main features here, the clamps, easy adjust. Alan went through these with the sides, primarily the ones you will be using, A, B, and then you have C and D. The ports, as I always remember them, is your top is going to be for charging, your bottom is going to be for updating. And as we talked about, as Ellen talked about, with using the USB stick, some areas that you may have some risk in your connection to the internet. You kind of just trial by error on trying one or the other, which works best. A lot of it's going to depend, as Alan said, on the strength of your internet connection when it comes to updating on that. This is one of the, in this family, this one does not include the Engrave It kit, so that's not allowed on this machine. But again, very good attack at edge cut keys, and the benefits that you have with the automation is tremendous.
Tony, can I jump in here 1 second?
Sure.
I'm looking at the questions as we're going through, and a question just popped up. How often do you want to calibrate the machine? And I meant to address that earlier. And Ryan will talk to it as well once we get into the Futura Auto. But basically, once you calibrate the clamps to the machine, I would set up a calibration schedule. And what I tell people when they come into the plant for training and they ask me that question, I say, you probably 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes at most to completely calibrate, for example, the Futura Pro. The question is, do you want to wait until it's cutting bad keys to do the calibration? Or do you want to spend 15 minutes a month and set a calendar that once a month, I'm going to go in and calibrate this thing to make sure I'm cutting good keys? That's if you're using it in your shop. If you're using the machine mobile, keep in mind that wherever you mount that machine, I would not recommend you mount it on a bench over top of an axle. Mount it up towards the front of your van. But keep in mind that machine is feeling every bump in the road that your backside is feeling as you're driving up and down the streets. So I would recommend, if you're using it in a mobile application, that you calibrate it once a week just to make sure you're cutting good keys.
That's a very good point, Alan. And to just move off that a bit or extend it a bit in mounting and position, a lot of my experience has been with our mobile van. Hopefully a number of you on this in this webinar have had experience with our mobile van, seen it, been on it. We have actually two Futura machines on there, the Auto and the Pro. And when we first started with the van, we had it positioned more towards the rear of the van. And we found ourselves calibrating it more than we thought we should. Once we moved it to the bulkhead or center of the van, and we haven't had that issue, though Alan makes a good point in calibrating it in a mobile situation once a week. And also keep in mind that all of the Futura family comes with one mounting bracket that is mounted to the rear of the machine. And in a shop setting, that's plenty. But in a mobile setting, we recommend that you ad-lib and put a mounting bracket or some L brackets to the front of the machine with some rubber gaskets or grommets to absorb that shock or that chatter, as we call it, as you're going down the road. And just keep in mind, again, about a weekly calibration, which is very simple. process to go through on any of these 4 Futura machines on that. So another thing too on this slide is you see the inset of the electronic eye is clean, keeping the machine clean. The machine, all the Futuras have a shield that keeps everything pretty much tidy in one area. Shavings will drop to the bottom, graded area goes into the removable tray at the bottom. But shavings with the static and everything, they can cling to stuff. You don't want to be using canned air or blowing any shavings around. They'll get into places where you don't want them to be. Sooner or later, you're going to end up with having a problem. You want to use we use in the van, we use a shop vac, small shop vac with a crevice tool. And it's all Futuras come standard with a brush. And so you want to be brushing and vacuuming. I would say, depending on the amount of keys that you're cutting with the machine, I would say you'd want to be cleaning that machine every couple of days. Do you agree on that, Ryan or Alan, about that? About at least once a week or every couple of days?
Yeah, I would,
I mean, you need to, as you're using the machine, you need to keep the jaws clean on the laser side or on the edge cut side around the laser, because if shavings get down in there, as you can see in this picture, it's going to interfere with the laser. And on the laser cut side, where it's using electrical contact, you need to clean that jaw surface basically every time you cut one side of the key. When you flip that key over, you need to clean that jaw surface, sweep those shavings down into the tray to keep it from having a faulty contact when it comes down to decode or touch off on the key. And
I would stress everyone to clean their
using
machine.
a vacuum. The reason you don't want to use compressed air is if you use compressed air to blow those shavings off the machine, you're actually blowing those shavings up underneath into the electronic board of the machine, and it's going to cause it to short out. So never use compressed air.
Yeah, very good point on that. So I wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. Ryan, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I was going to say I would definitely stress to clean your machine at least once a week, because if you let that those shavings build up, they can get into the bearings of your of the axis on the machine, and that could cause issues down the road. So it's really a good preventive maintenance to clean. I would actually clean it daily, but at least once a week.
Yeah, that's a good point, Ryan.
Yeah. So, and again, a little shop vacuum crevice tool. Takes seconds to do that, and the brush that comes with the machine. So you want to keep.
And even if you don't vacuum it out, just brush the shavings down into the tray, pull the drawer out, and dump the shavings.
Yeah, excellent point on that. Also, too, in red there, as you can see, that is one of the only electronic machine, in the market that allows for duplication without manual search. So again, some very fine features in the Futura family, and the Edge being one of those. Okay, so tip stop 4, as Alan alluded to, a lot of this stuff kind of repeats itself, but we want to make sure that you understand the family of 4 here, and the Edge that we're showing right now is this tip stop 4 can help you quite a bit in certain situations when it calls for the 4th tip stop or the 4th position to be tip stopped on that. Also remember to remove it. And as Alan pointed out, is the pad, if you pay attention and read, comprehend, the pad will, the prompts through the pad will help you right through the process of starting the key cutting procedure. Software interfaces with Instacode and Creative Key. Those are two, that's a huge benefit in itself right there. But I also think too, this machine with its 2-year warranty and with the capabilities that it offers in this sense for edge cut capability is far superior to what we run up against in the field on that. I call this the stop sign on steroids with the white, yellow, green, and red. Basically walking you through the process of the cutting of the key and letting you know exactly where you're at in that process. Color code, easy to understand, easy to maintain, where you're at any time in the job. Updating, and this is a big one because we obviously run with the ones in the field on the van, and sometimes Wi-Fi can be an issue or not. So that's why I kind of threw those questions out when Alan was going through it, of either using a USB stick or going through the process on the pad itself through the Wi-Fi, through the Silka site on that. Just kind of feel it out. Like I said, everybody's different. You're different area where your Wi-Fi may be strong, where it might be weak. But the nice thing about it is you have two options, two avenues to take in updating these machines. The automated and the search on this, and one thing I know that a lot of people have grown to use, especially on the automotive side, is the truck auto guide. Most, if not all, of that information is now intertwined and crossed over to our database in these Futura machines. And no different here with this situation. Edge cut vehicle keys, shortcut functions, makes it very quick and easy to identify where, the key information, and start the process on cutting the key. Parts and accessories, pretty much straightforward here, as you see on the screen. Not a lot that you have to worry about here. And I do get a question before I go to the next one on the life with guys like Alan French here and Ryan. We bounce between, what's the life of the cutter? And that really depends on, again, a number of things can be taking place. You have calibration to speed up the cut, to slow it down. That you have the ability to do on all of the Futura machines. And a lot of times what's dependent on it is the type of key that you're cutting. The hard flat steel, the stuff that's coming over from overseas, is going to depend on how the life of that cutter, how long that's going to last. Obviously the volume of keys. We kind of see a range of thousands of keys or hundreds of keys to it's really all over the board. I don't know, Alan, if being an expert.
Let me interject here. You cannot control the speed of the cutter on the edge cut side. So that doesn't really come into play on the Futura Edge. On the laser cut side, if you follow the quick start guide that we package with each machine, it goes through the steps of how you can adjust the cutting speed for laser cut keys. It does not reduce the speed of the cutter, the RPM. What it does is it reduces the feed rate, or how much material the key takes in each pass on the key. If you're cutting OEM keys for vehicles from Asia, Honda, Toyota, Hyundai, Kia, those OEM keys are a very hard nickel silver. With a carbide cutter, which is also very hard, if you try to cut those keys at 100%, it will actually break the tips off of your cutters. And I put that on the quick start guide, and that quick start guide is printed on red paper, so it's staring you in the face when you raise the shield on this machine at the first time. I recommend you cut it back to 80%. It might add 30 seconds to the time it takes to cut that key, but it's going to extend the life of your cutter.
I have something else to add to that too. There's
Go ahead.
an option right before you get ready to cut the key. There's an option that says steps. And what that allows you to do is be able to increase the number of steps or the number of passes that you make on the key. And doing so will prolong the life of your cutter. And then also, if you're cutting these harder material keys, then that's going to make cutting those keys a lot easier on the cutter, if number of steps. In most keys, the steps are defaulted to about 2, but I'll recommend bumping that up to maybe 3 or 4 for keys that are harder material.
Excellent information. Thanks, Ryan. Thank you, Alan, for setting me straight on the calibration side of that, on the speed. Okay, so as we said before, we have accessory clamps. Alan had brought these up in the other Futura machines that we've already demonstrated or presented, and that's the 06V clamp, obviously for bust, and the 07V clamp for that takes on that. These obviously will run on the Pro and the Edge, so this is obviously comes into play with the Edge machine. You see a fine picture of those on this screen. Again, here's the weight, a little bit lighter. Obviously, Alan points out a little bit different color, more gray on this machine. So it stands out a little bit different look from the others. But nevertheless, the same footprint, other than the weight being a few pounds lighter. Still a 2-year warranty and motor, power supply, it's the same on that, okay? Turn this over to Ryan now for the Futura Auto.
Tony, could I interject
Yes.
something here real quick? One of the questions that came up, I'll find it here again. Bill had asked about a key he was trying to cut for card 981, and 981 is not in the database. Bill, I don't know if this is an edge cut key, but one of the things you can do with the Futura Pro and the Futura Edge is you can purchase additional software called CodeMaker. What CodeMaker allows you to do is create your own card. So you can build your own card if you have a particular lock system that's not in the database and I can't get it added. You can build your own card, your depth and spacing information and the dimensional information of the key, and then save it. And that way you can use it going forward. But if you'll send me that information on a particular, if you have a particular card that's not in the database that you'd like to see added, send me the information via email, and I will work with Silka to see what I can do to get it added to the database in the next update.
Thank you, Alan. Go ahead, Ryan.
Now, moving forward with the Futura Auto, for those of you that do not know, the Futura Auto is only for cutting automotive keys. I cut automotive vehicle keys as well as motorcycle and heavy truck keys as well. This machine differs from the other machines specifically because it only does automotive. And the difference as well is the database in this machine strictly has an automotive database. There's no information regarding residential or commercial keys in this database. It's just strictly automotive, so just wanted to be clear on that. If we can move forward to the next slide, Tony. What's really unique about the Futura Auto is it has two interchangeable jaws. It allows you to be able to cut automotive edge cut keys as well as automotive high security sign wire style keys. You can also, with additional accessories, cut tubular keys as well as TV keys as well. And it's very simple and quick to interchange the jaws out. On the right hand side, there's a little set screw that allows you to be able to just give it a quarter turn. You can quickly remove either the edge cut jaw or the high security jaw, and then swap the other one in its place. And the only other thing that you have to do while swapping the jaws is you also have to change the cutter. So if you're using the edge cut jaw is strictly going to use only the 12L cutter. If you could go forward to the next slide, Tony, we should have an image here. So if you look on the right hand side there, that is our 01RA jaw. I'm sorry, that's the 01BA jaw on the right hand side. And this is the jaw that you're going to use the 12L cutter, as you can see in the picture there. And the good thing about when you swap the jaws out, you do not have to calibrate each time. The jaws are already pre-calibrated, and swapping the jaws out does not require additional calibration. Also, if you look out at that little red knob on the upper portion of the machine, that is what's called the mobile tracer. That mobile tracer allows you to be able to decode not only your edge cut keys, but also your high security keys as well. And then also, if you notice on the left hand jaw, the 01RA, there is no tip stop required when you're cutting keys on this side. So that's really good. It takes some user error out of the equation. So you don't have to worry about tip stopping the key. You simply load the key in. And what I personally recommend is when you load the key in, you give it about an eighth of an inch clearance between the head of the key touching the clamp itself. And then what the machine will do, it will use electrical contact to come down and find out exactly where that key is positioned before it proceeds to either decode or cut the key. On the right hand side, on the edge cut jaw, there are 4 sides, just like on the other Futuras. The good thing about this jaw is it's really easy to change the jaw to one side or the other. You simply just turn the jaw to either the A, B, C, or D side. You don't have to loosen any set screw or anything like that. It's a quick change jaw setting, so it's very unique and easy to use. Next slide, please. So as you can see, this is the same format as the other Futura machines. You have your tablet up top with the tablet stand. You have your cutter storage, as you can see there. That is very useful. What some people do too is they also will label where the cutters are, so that way if they have to change into a specific cutter, they know exactly where that cutter is going to be. You also have your chip tray down at the bottom. On the right-hand side, you have your emergency shut-off. And then the safety shield, as Alan mentioned earlier, is a two-way functionality. It prevents chips from coming out and getting in your eyes. And then also it acts as a secondary shut-off feature. So for some reason you load a key in and it's not loaded in properly, you can simply raise that shield up and stop the cutting process or the decoding process, realign the key, and then simply lower the shield back down and resume the process. So as I mentioned earlier, the jaw that you see on the upper jaw that you see here is the O1RA. That is for doing your high security keys. It comes with the necessary jaws, the 106 and 107 jaws. These will cover all high security applications regarding an automotive application. The machine also comes with 01LW, 02LW, and it comes with the 06LW. And this will handle all your automotive needs as far as the cutters that you'll need, other than the tibby clamp and the tubular clamp. Just so you're aware, all the cutters for the high security side are made of carbide, so they're very strong cutters. And at the bottom jaw that you see down here, the O1VA, this is the one that will only use the 12L cutter. And that 12L cutter is a high-speed steel cutter. And this is the only one that you will have to worry about using when you're doing your edge cut keys. That we also include in the toolkit a 06T tracer, as well as a 07T tracer. The 07T is the one that you're going to be using for the decoding function. So if you see that upper lever, you can barely see it on the upper image, but that lever is where you lower and raise that mobile tracer. And that's going to be where that 07T will go. The 06T is only used for calibration purposes.
Ryan, if I could interject here too.
Yes.
Go, Tony, if you would. I didn't get into the optional cutters on the Futura Pro. On this machine, all of the cutters that you need to do automotive come with the machine. On the Futura Pro, the only cutter that's standard is the O1LW. If you want to cut the Fiat Chrysler codes, you'll have to order the 02LW. And if you want to cut the Lexus 80,000 code series, you'll need to order the 06LW. And a question that came up yesterday is we had an attendee yesterday asked a question about why wouldn't his machine cut his 80,000 code series. What happened was he was cutting an emergency key that fits in the procs, which if you look at that emergency key, it's about half the thickness of the standard key which is used if the vehicle had a keyed ignition rather than a procs. The machine is looking for a key that is the standard thickness key. If you put that emergency key in there, the cutter is just going to go through the process of cutting, but it's never going to touch the key. So we have an adapter, we call it the Toyota Lexus wallet key adapter, that slides underneath of that emergency key to raise it up to the thickness of the original key. That's what you would need to cut that emergency key.
Thank you, Alan. And to add to that, if anybody wants to know that part number for that wallet key adapter, if you're trying to cut some single-sided Lexus or Toyota keys, just ask in the Q&A, and then we'll respond with that part number so you can get that ordered. Next slide, Tony. All right, as you can see, the Futura Auto comes with the 10-inch tablet standard, just like the other Futura machines. This one is a little bit different than the other tablets. It's a newer tablet, same operation and same functionality as the previous tablets mentioned on the other machines. The software interface is just like the Futura Pro and Futura Edge. It's really straightforward and easy to use. Step-by-step instructions are provided. And we also have a reference catalog called the 2020 Auto Truck Keylink Reference Catalog. This is a very good resource to identify key code information or what kind of key you need for a particular vehicle. And we have this available on our website. If you want to visit our website at ilco.us, you can find that manual there. Also, we have a software interface that can be used. You can use Create a Key or Instacode. You need help with getting that set up, you can feel free to contact our tech support. They'll be glad to walk you through setting that up. The Wi-Fi between the tablet and the machine, the way this works, that the Futura machine actually produces its own Wi-Fi signal, and from this is a means of communication. So in order for the tablet to be able to operate and function and send the machine commands, you have to be connected to the machine's Wi-Fi. You can find the Wi-Fi setting in your tablet by simply going to your settings menu and then going to Wi-Fi, or in some tablets it may have a WLAN for the option. Then within those settings, you'll see a option or a Wi-Fi network that will have Silco Futura in its name. And you need to make sure that you're connected to that network to be able to operate the machine properly. If it asks you for a password, the password is very simple. It is simply the serial number for your machine. And your serial number for your machine can be found in a couple different places, such as the rear lower portion of your machine. There's a little plate back there. Then it's also located on your tablet box and your toolkit as well. If you look further down on the right-hand side here, we do have 2 ports. These 2 ports are used for either charging your tablet or for a communications port. The communications port is used if you want to tether your tablet. And this means having a hardwired connection between your machine and your tablet. And you can do a direct connection. That way you don't have to worry about any Wi-Fi inconsistencies or the machine somehow being disconnected from your tablet. So we do have those 2 different options as far as being able to communicate with the machine itself. And there's also a mounting bracket included with the Futura Auto, but in mobile applications, we would stress that you will use an additional bracket on the front, like an L-shaped bracket, and then use the proper rubber insulation to absorb any impact from day-to-day use. Just like on the other machines here, we have a smart search function. This allows you to be able to search for a particular make or model vehicle. You can either scroll down, it's in alphabetical order, or you can input the particular make or model vehicle, and then it will narrow it down to only those applications. Very simple to use. Once you choose your make and model, it'll then take you to the various year ranges. You simply select the year range from there. And from there, it will take you to the key code information or cards information screen. On the machine itself, you'll notice that it has a light in the upper left-hand side. This light has a few different meanings. The white light means that it is ready for operation. The yellow light indicates that it is currently in a cutting cycle. The green light means that it has cut a key successfully. And the red light means that there's some type of error with the machine, and you need to either reset the machine's axis, or you need to simply go back to the home screen and retry the cutting process. This is the screen, just like on the Futura Pro and the other Futuras in the series, where it will show you a preview of what the key will look like. So for example, if you retrieve the code from either NASTIF, or if you retrieve the code from a dealership, and you put that code into the machine, it will show you what the cuts for that particular key will look like before you cut it. Also, if you decode a key, it will provide the decoded data and show you what that key will look like. And it'll also give you the code for that particular key. And what you can do with that code is you can archive it for that particular customer, or you can provide it to the customer. That way, if they ever lose their key in the future, they'll have that key code and they can come back to you to be able to get that key cut successfully without having to contact their dealership, or without you having to get a code from NASA. And for those of you that do not know, NASA is the National Automotive Service Task Force. They are another option or the best option to obtain key codes, mechanical key codes for cutting keys when a customer has lost all of their keys. On the Futura Auto, we have disabled the option to be able to update it by using a USB port or a flash drive. You can only update the Futura Auto by the tablet itself. And the way that this will work, you'll simply go to the update option on the Futura application, select update, and then select the little tablet that you see on the left. It will ask you to connect to a different Wi-Fi source so that you can begin the update. Once it finishes, it'll ask you to reconnect to the Futura. If it does not prompt you to do so, you simply just need to reconnect to the Futura machine's Wi-Fi, and then the update will finish up from there. The reason that we provided update only through the tablet is because this machine is sold only for the U.S. market, and it has a geolocator chip within this machine, so that we know when a machine is sold, it will only work and operate within the North American market. And for some reason, somebody obtains it in a different region, the machine will not work in that region. This is only for the Futura Auto. That screen, Tony. As I mentioned earlier, we do have, these are the cutters that you'll find that are included with the machine. We have the 01LW, 02LW, 06LW, which are all carbide cutters. They are all for the high security side of the machine. And then we have the Edge cut cutter, which is the 12L, and that is a high-speed steel cutter. The clamps included for the laser cut side is the 01RA, which is the whole clamp assembly itself, along with the 107 and the 106 jaws. And then on the right, on the edge cut jaws, this is going to be the 01VA. And again, we have the 06T and the 07T tracer also included with the machine. These are some generic specs. I'm not going to really go over all the specs, but they're here for your information. There are the dimensions for the machine. The machine is fairly compact. You should have no issue putting this machine on the van. It does not take up much space at all, and it's pretty lightweight. It only weighs 44 pounds. It's really nimble and easy to move around compared to other machines out there. And also it does come with a 2-year warranty, and this is on the machine as well as the tablet. So it's a really good warranty, and we stand behind our machines. Moving into some basic troubleshooting for the machines, not necessarily issues with the machine itself, but just some things you should be aware of in case you ever encounter an issue similar. So the first one would be, I kind of went over earlier, but just checking your Wi-Fi connection. As I mentioned before, you have to be connected to the Futura's Wi-Fi in order to operate the machine. If you're connected to your own personal Wi-Fi, then the machine will not operate. You have to be connected to the Futura's Wi-Fi for operation purposes. Also calibration, we grazed over this earlier. We recommend in a mobile application to calibrate your machine at least once a week. And if it's in a shop setting, at least once a month. It's a good preventative maintenance, and it'll prevent you from encountering a miscut key before it happens. Add in keys to your favorites. This is a option on the on each Futura. You'll have an option to save a particular card to your favorites. And to do this, when you search for a particular year, make, and model vehicle or a particular key, you can simply add the card to your favorites by pressing the little. It's going to be a little star icon that you'll see on the left-hand side of that card. You'll tap on that star icon and then it will turn black. And at that point, it will be added to your favorites. And just understanding the key cut menu, knowing what options you have, such as decoding. There's another option for partial cuts. So for example, if a customer brought you in a key that they say broke half of the key off in the ignition or the door of a vehicle, you can do what's called progressional cutting. And you can get the first 6 or 7 cuts of that key, and then the machine will tell you the options of what the other cuts could be. It'll narrow it down to maybe 4 or 5 options versus you guessing, you know, over 100 or 200 different variations of what the key could be. The machine will narrow that down for you. The card options menu, this is not really needed for the Futura Auto in particular. With the Futura NA, we did have an older jaw that was replaced by a newer jaw. And that older jaw was the 03J, and we replaced it with the 19J. And what this did is, in the card options, if you purchase a new jaw, you would have to go into the card options right before you cut the key and change that to the 19J. Once you change it for the first time, it will stay that way for as long as you don't go and change it again. So I just figured that's a good point to note for those of you that are still using the Futura NA and may have that may have encountered that issue. Just cutting the key, you have different options such as duplicating or cutting by code. And then we also have what's called the copy by original option. This allows you to be able to cut a key and take into consideration the warrantness of the existing key. So let's say you have a key for a 2000 Buick LeSabre, and you want to cut that key to the exact specs. You can go through the copy by original function, and this will take that warrantness into consideration. If you ever encounter can you go back, Tony? If you ever encounter the anomaly detected option or error on your machine, this could simply mean that something's blocking the machine from being able to move properly. It could be that maybe you dropped a cutter somewhere behind the machine's carriage, or a jaw, or just something just got lunged in between that machine's carriage. This could cause that anomaly detected error to appear. If you're having an issue where the machine is not staying calibrated, this really is only for applications such as a van setting, where maybe you're encountering more bumps than usual on the road. What we recommend is, like we mentioned before, just making sure you have the machine properly insulated and having it in the most optimal positioning on your van to prevent the machine from taking such rough impacts if you're driving on really rough roads. And why is the Futura using the cutter to decode? This could happen because maybe you performed a calibration on your machine and you didn't go back and enable the mobile tracer for decoding. If this ever happens, there's an option where you can go and enable the mobile tracer, and this will prevent the machine from trying to decode with the cutter. If you ever receive the optical reader error, this is like we mentioned before, it's not going to be an issue on the Futura Auto, but with the Futura Edge and the Futura Pro or Futura NA, on that left-hand side of the machine where you're doing your edge cut keys, it has an optical laser or reader there. If you get key shavings on that, you need to, and you don't clean them off, then you could get this optical reader error. And to fix that, you simply just need to brush those shavings off and retry the process. Next slide, Tony. Some basic tips and hints for your Futura. Probably the number one question we have is boot up procedure, how to properly boot up your machine. The proper way to boot up your machine is to make sure you have the tablet and the machine off first, and then you're going to turn only the Futura machine on initially. And this is for all Futura machines across the board. So when you turn your Futura on initially, you're going to wait until you get blinking blue lights only on your Futura machine. The machine itself, like I said, produces its own Wi-Fi signal, and it's just like a router when it first turns on. You have to wait until you get all of your lights to light up properly, and you know that has been that process has been completed when you have only blinking blue lights only. At that point, you can turn your tablet on, and then make sure that you're connected to the Futura's Wi-Fi before proceeding to open the Futura application. Also, how to maintain the battery on your tablet. What we recommend is just simply plugging the tablet into the charging port on the Futura. And we recommend, honestly, you can leave your Futura machine on indefinitely. You do not have to turn it off at the end of the day. You can leave it on. It's not going to hurt the machine. The machine is not going to run hot. The machine keeps a normal operating temperature when it's not in operation. So it's going to be basically whatever the room temperature is, and there's no harm with leaving the machine on. The only thing that we would recommend is having a surge protector, just in case you have a thunderstorm come through and it knocks out the lights. You don't want a surge to go through the machine itself. Tablet connection options, I kind of touched over this. You can either connect the tablet through Wi-Fi, or you can connect through the tethering option. If you are interested in doing that tethering option, we do have tech support. They would be more than happy to assist you with setting that up. Checking the machine to tablet connection. This will be done through your tablet settings, and this is just ensuring that you're not connected to any other Wi-Fi network. You want to ensure that you're only connected to your Futura's Wi-Fi network. If your machine ever freezes and it will not move or cut, there's a couple different options here available. One option is you can reset the axis on the machine. To do that at any point of no matter what screen you're on, there's a slide out menu that you can slide from the very left of your tablet. All you do is simply from the very left of your tablet, slide from left to right. You'll see this little pop-out menu show up. And there'll be an option to reset the axis on the machine. In most cases, this will fix the issue. If that does not work, then I just recommend turning the machine off, as well as the tablet, and then turn the machine off using the proper boot up procedure. And we stress this over and over. Just make sure you keep all surfaces on the machine clean and clear, because specifically on the Futura Auto, if you have any key shavings on the clamp, this machine does work off of electrical contact. So if you have a shaving that just happens to be in the right spot, it could touch that shaving thinking that it's touching the key, and it could cause the key to be miscut or cause an issue like that. So just make sure you do your due diligence and keep your machine clean. It's an investment, and you want to do the best you can to maintain the machine and to have a long life time out of it. Tips on how to diagnose Wi-Fi connection issues. Typically, what I've noticed the most is in different shop settings, you may have more than one person using the tablet. Sometimes somebody might want to go and search on Google and try to play a game on the tablet. We only recommend using the tablet for machine operation. So if you suspect that somebody's using that tablet for other means, we recommend only using it for machine operation and to not connect it to any other networks unless you're just performing an update.
Yeah, Ryan, let me interject here. The machine uses a lot of the tablet's memory when it's operating. If somebody takes that tablet and they download Facebook and games and those sorts of things on the tablet, it's going to use up the memory that the machine needs to run properly. We get a lot of calls into tech services where they're having issues, and we find out that they've loaded a bunch of stuff onto that tablet, which is, hey, it's an Android tablet, and people start playing games with it and download different things. But just keep in mind, when you do that, you're using up the memory of that tablet that the machine needs to run properly.
Thank you, Alan. And then lastly, the proper shutdown procedure for the machine. The machine has a built-in shutdown procedure on the tablet itself while you're in the Futura application. On the home screen of the Futura application, you'll see on the right-hand side, there'll be a power icon, just like you'll see on your TV remote. You'll simply when you're ready to turn off the machine, you simply turn that tap on that power button, and then from there the machine will go through a shutdown process, and then the tablet will inform you of when to manually shut down the machine. And then at which point you simply hit the button on the right hand side of the machine and press it in to manually turn off the machine. Next slide, Tony. Right here, this is a comparison chart for each of our Futura machines. It shows you exactly what each machine's capability is. As you can see, the Futura Pro has all the bells and whistles. It's our top of the line machine. It will do everything that you throw at it. But the other machines are very valuable in certain scenarios. Just like the Futura Auto, if you only plan on doing automotive, there's really no need for you to get the Futura Pro. But if you're going to do automotive and also want to have the capability of doing commercial or residential, then by all means, the Futura Pro is going to be your best bet. But we have the different categories of machines to best fit your needs. And then also we have our Ilco YouTube channel. Within this channel, you'll see basic Futura videos available, and then calibration videos and things of that nature. We have everything from when you initially get your machine, what you need to do, to, like I said, calibration videos and much more. So if you're not familiar with our channel, definitely go check it out, get subscribed. That way you'll be up to date with any new software that we come out with or any new updates that we release on our YouTube channel. Is Alex on the call, Tony?
I don't believe he is at this time.
Okay, not a problem.
Just whether we can get a tech support guy on the webinars, but
yeah. Unfortunately, we were trying to have one of our tech support representatives on the phone. Unfortunately, he's probably busy assisting another customer at the moment. So just going to give you a brief run through on what our tech support has to offer. Our tech support is available for the key machines Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time. And they're here to assist you with any questions, whether it be technical or maybe you just got your machine and you just have a few questions that you want to ask before you begin your setup. They're there to help you. They're very professional. They know what they're doing. So we do have that resource for you and available for you.
Alan, do you want to take this
I
slide?
don't know how much time we have left. Travis was asking, but I'll just quickly go through. We spent a lot of time on the Futuras, but we offer a lot of other machines. And what I'm going to show you here is just the representation. If you go to our website, you'll see everything that we offer. Keys, we have an automatic, which is the Speed 040. Our semi-automatic duplicators, we've got the Speed 044 and the Bravo 3. Manual duplicators, we have the Flash 008 on the right and the Speed 045. For laser and dimple keys, we've got the Swift Plus, the Twister 2, and the Matrix 2. The Matrix 2 does not do dimple keys. It's strictly for laser. The Swift Plus and the Twister 2 also have the capability of doing tubular keys. Okay, Tony. So specialty duplicators we have, the Duo Plus. It's basically a machine with 2 cutting stations. On the left-hand side is for doing regular edge cut keys. The right-hand side, you can do bit keys, Abus and Abloy style keys, the kind of half round key. You can also put in a different cutter and tracer on that side and do safe deposit box keys. The Speed 046 is the same as the Speed 045. It's a manual operated machine, but it's set up with a cutter and tracer to do safe deposit style keys. The 009B is for doing tubular style keys. Then the engraving equipment we have. In addition to the engraving function on the Futura Pro, we have larger engravers. The Engrave It Pro and the Engrave It XP. These 2 machines use a diamond drag I was referring to earlier. The Marker 2000 is a Silca produced machine. It uses a dot matrix. It's like a punch. It's pretty loud, but it actually punches letters and numbers on the key or cylinder using a punch. And then the Compound 2 is our latest offering. It's actually a hand stamp. It's got a wheel that you rotate with letters and numbers, and you move the key step by step and just smack the top of it with your hand or with a rubber mallet if you want it a little deeper.
All right.
With that, we're done.
Yeah, Alan, thank you very much being the anchor here. Travis is back on. I just want to really quick before Travis, you wrap it up here, is to thank Alan specifically and Ryan in this presentation, and just remind, and I don't want to steal Travis' thunder, but we have teamed up with the HL Flake Group to make sure that they have some special pricing structured for the webinars that we do. And I'm sure, Travis, you have that information, and you could touch on that for a minute if you'd like to.
Right. Yeah. And we're not actually showing detailed pricing on the webinar, really just to be in with Matt. But we have shared the discounted special pricing with all of our salespeople at both International Key Supply and HL Flake and HE Mitchell and McDonald Dash. So reach out to your salesperson. We've added some additional discounts on the Futura series that are really above and beyond what was offered to us. So these are exclusive specials that you won't find anywhere else. So please, if you're interested at all just in more information or on pricing, reach out to your salesperson. And you know, we're here to help. So thank you guys so much for your time today. I think there were still, well, I guess you may have cleared them out. Were there
the last one now?
Finished out the last questions.
There were some questions that I said we would answer at the end. I don't know if we want to go back and try to touch on that.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that Travis, yeah, we've got just a few minutes. If anybody, see, there's about 60 or so participants still. So if there's anyone that has a question, didn't get it answered, or just thought of it, please send it in now. We'll take care of it.
Right. If anybody has any additional questions, you can put them in there. Or if you want to pick out any that you've answered, that you've typed out, that you would like to just address for the group.
One question Bill gave us was, when mounting H72 Ilco key, the machine says to use jaw side C in the groove and stop 4, but the groove is too short to allow the tip stop to reach stop 4. He asked what to do in this scenario. Do you have any answer for that, Alan?
Yeah. Bill, just use that milling groove to align it and push it all the way in until it butts up to tip stop 4. There are some keys that are like that, but the tip has to be against that tip stop. Even if it rides up the ridge a little bit, you'll still have enough in that milling groove to keep it straight and clamp it down. Because it has to go to tip stop 4, or your cuts, the spacing on your cuts are going to be off.
Another question was from Robert. He asked if the Futura NA and Futura Pro, as well as the Futura Pro One, will engrave the 1.5 aluminum tag.
I don't have the specs in front of me, but I think a 1.5 will fit. If you go to our website and pull up that kit, it will show you how far the jaw openings are. As long as it will fit in, it will be able to engrave it.
Daniel, on this one, probably for Alan in this case, Ryan, you might want to jump in on this if you can. Daniel asked, I would like to add several keys to memory so that they can be readily cut without original possibility. Can this be done?
I'm not sure what you mean by saving a key to memory. You can save a card or a code series into your favorites. For example, if you cut a lot of Ford edge cut keys, they're primarily the 1X through 1706X code series. You can save that into favorites, And whenever you're going to cut a Ford, you don't have to go through the search function and put Ford, whatever. Just go to your favorites and select that card. You cannot save individually cut keys to the database.
Another question was, do we offer Indian or international version of the various Futura machines?
Yeah, the machines that we offer are for North America. If someone in South America, North America includes Mexico, but someone in South America or Europe or India or wherever, they have to purchase their machines through a Silca distributor in their area. Our machines are not meant for export. And that's one of the reasons we have the geolocator on the Futura Auto. That machine sells in North America for a lot less. If someone buys that machine and exports it outside of North America, they will not be able to register the machine and they will not be able to update the database.
Another question was, will the Futura Pro allow you to cut, make half depth cuts?
I answered that in there is, with every card on the right-hand menu, there is a manual corrections opportunity where you can go in and adjust the X and Y axis.
Excellent.
I think I covered all the questions that.
There was
No,
one more.
There's one
More
more.
about create a key.
Yeah, credit key. Yep, that one. Yeah.
Basically what you do is whatever PC that you're using your create a key or Instacode software on,
There you go.
connect that PC to the Futura's Wi-Fi signal. And once you hit cut key, it sends the information to the machine and it will be in the queue of jobs folder. And you just go in the queue of jobs folder, click on it, and it walks you through step by step.
Excellent point made there, Alan. Thank you very much for that, for answering those questions. I don't see any more. I think the Q&A is cleared at this point. Travis, did you said you mentioned?
That was it. It was answered.
Okay.
Yep.
One that just came through.
I see one pop up.
Yep. Is there a recommended power inverter for supplying power for this in the mobile unit?
And I don't have that info in front of me, Ryan, so.
Okay. Okay.
I think, Ryan, I think you covered it a bit as far as in a mobile setting, inverter is being used. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think we have plugged it also into a surge protector, even in the van situation, have we not?
Yeah, that's a good procedure to follow too. You use an inverter just in case.
Yeah, all of our machines have a 2 switches. So if you're using it in a mobile application with an inverter, make sure you turn the machines off by the main switch before you power up your inverter. Otherwise, you're going to send a surge and it's going to trip that main switch and you're going to have to reset it. So always turn your machines off at the end of the day. And before you fire up your inverter the next day, fire the inverter up, then turn the machines on.
Very good point on that. Travis, I'll turn it back over to you. I think
That's it. We are wrapped up here. I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to be with us today. And again, reach out to your salesperson. We have specials on accessories on all the key machines, as well as special offers on the Futura family. So thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day and take care.
Thank you, Travis.
Right.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
everyone.
Bye.
thank you, Travis.